Hey guys, welcome to the Super Post podcast, and we are live. It is your usual host, Stevie Hayes, and Comic Cuts. We are here today, and we have a lot of things to cover with you guys. But first and foremost, before you do anything, please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. We got some videos coming out. Obviously every day. Comic Cuts is working on a really dope comics deep dive that I'm really hyped to see as well. So we are going to first touch on obviously the Jonathan Majors situation. Let's get the depressing crap out the way. Then we'll talk about Kingpins. We'll talk about some Secret War stuff, and then we'll end up probably. And then obviously we're gonna obviously go into our series, and we're going to talk about a movie that we both love, Iron Man 2. So um, just to get this out of the way. So obviously, if you guys don't live under a rock, Jonathan Majors was arrested on Saturday night due to allegations of assault. And basically, homie, I don't know if homie is in jail still or not. I'm not sure, but I know that those statements were recanted. But there was other news about people that knew that went to school with Jonathan at Yale were saying that he's always been a abuser and all of this jazz, all this stuff going on. I'm just going to give my POV, and then I have Comic Cuts give his. This is all I'm going to really say about this matter because we don't know all of the info, and I feel very uncomfortable assuming that something happened. So this is all I'm gonna say. If Jonathan Majors did hit this girl, then he's obviously done. I mean, his career is probably over it. I mean, if he did put hands on this girl, if Jonathan Majors did not, then I believe that this man, in fairness, should keep his job as King and Conqueror. And I know that it might put a slight stain on his career because just the topic of abuse is very hard. But I don't believe that if this man is innocent, then he deserves that. And so far from what the evidence is showing, from all the stuff that I've seen, this man looks innocent. So, um, you know, it's just a shame, because he obviously has been making the rounds and he's making a heck of a name for himself. So it's sad that these things happen, but that's life, man. When you are doing your thing in life, like when you're doing your thing in life, that is when most of the time bad things happen to try to throw you off, right? That's a part of life.
100%.
I've been there. Comic Cuts has been there during your high time. Sometimes some BS just happens and you can't control it. It just happens. So so Jonathan Majors, I'm praying for you, bro. I'm praying for the situation. I hope that everything. I hope that the truth comes to the light, and I hope that you are innocent because you are becoming one of my favorite actors. And it would suck if we had to recast King the Conqueror. How do you feel, bro?
100% with everything you said. I think Jonathan Majors is a guy that is a huge up and comer in Hollywood. And if this story is true, it would be absolutely devastating to the fans. I know Stevie and myself love Jonathan Majors as an actor. We definitely want to see, more of him in Hollywood with Marvel as Kang outside of Marvel, you know, but I will say, if this story is true, it is one of the worst things you can do is put your hands on a woman. Everyone knows that. There's no debate with that action. I really hope it's something he didn't do. But the one thing I think that remains to be seen is, and you said this to me in a text, and I think you worded it perfectly, and I've been thinking about that a lot. Stevie said to me, a story like this carries a lot of stink, and that's just the truth. There's no way to avoid it. I think we unfortunately live in a day and age where, it seems like certain actions are held in the court of public opinion as guilty before proven innocent. When in the American court of law, obviously it is supposed to be innocent before proven guilty. Obviously, the court of law is not public opinion, which is why I just think the way the media operates and social media, a story like this, even if it is false, I still think it's going to have an effect on him. That's not to say if it's false and he's proven innocent, they'll recast him as Kang. But I just think that it's such a, heinous act that story alone is, because you have to realize when they make a movie, they have to get investors. It's not just Disney that, fronts movies. It's the other studios that front movies. They have to get insurance on that movie while they're filming it, and all the investments, all the advertisers that go into it, and everything else. Some things just become a little bit riskier when you have a story like this out there. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. I'm sure if you're a fan of our show, or even just watching this for the first time, I'm sure you're a fan of Jonathan Majors' performance as Kang, and you, like us, hope that this isn't true. Even if you're not a fan of Kang, why would you hope this is true? No one wants a guy that's obviously, strong guy putting their hands on a woman. So I really hope this is false. And if it is false, I hope it doesn't hurt his career and he could continue to thrive, and that he never hurt a female. I think, that would be the best case scenario.
Yep. I echo that as well. I just hope that everything works out, and, whatever the truth is, that's the truth, period. So, yep. So that's that. We've gone through that. Okay. So now that we've gone through that, let's get to some Daredevil stuff. So obviously we got a first look at Kingpin. Well, over the weekend, we ended up seeing a bunch of Daredevil set photos that were released to the public, which were awesome. We got to see Charlie Cox in a trench coat and suit. We also got to see. We also got a look at Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. And we also have a rumor about Kingpin as well, about him becoming the mayor. I'm going to read this out to you, bro. It says this: Kingpin's motive for his mayoral campaign in the MCU will be to crack down on the work of street-level vigilantes that could threaten his rule. Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Matt Murdock, and Spider-Man are at the top of Kingpin's list of vigilantes. So that's been a kind of a prominent rumor going around for a little bit. So first off, let's just talk about how do you feel about this Daredevil board again series so far with all of the stuff. Oh, and before you say that, let me just read off all of the stuff that Vincent D'Onofrio said about this show. So D'Onofrio said that this show might be different from what the original was, but this show will have gigantic payoffs in season 1 and season 2, confirming that obviously we're getting a season 2. He also said that Charlie Cox and John Bernthal, the Punisher, play major parts in the show. He also said that obviously they have started shooting, obviously, and that's really all that he said. And the rumor is that with Kingpin becoming the whole mayor thing, it's going to affect a bunch of characters more than the ones that were named directly and indirectly. And so what this is looking like to me, Thunderbolt Ross as president and Kingpin as the mayor of New York, bro. It's about to, bro, the MCU is about to be lit.
The MCU is about to completely change in ways that are going to be amazing. The MCU has never really dove into street level before, a little bit with Spider-Man Homecoming, but even that was a little bit bigger than street level, and it wasn't true grounded Spider-Man. And Daredevil, Born Again, 18 episodes. They're bringing Kingpin. They're bringing John Bernthal back as the Punisher, and I think that the story is about, Kingpin trying to outlaw vigilantes. And that's what they're talking about. That there are rumors that it's going to be Devil's Reign inspired, which for those of you that don't know, Devil's Reign is a Marvel comic book crossover event. It came out only a couple of years ago, written by Chip Zdarsky, who is the king of street level. He wrote an amazing Spider-Man run, 2 amazing Daredevil runs, and he's currently writing the current ongoing Batman mainline comics. So, obviously the guy is haymaker for street level characters. And Devil's Reign was Kingpin becoming mayor and outlawing vigilantes. That's what the story is about. I think it's the perfect take for inspiration. I know it's called Born Again, but they kind of went with the Born Again in the Netflix series. So, I think Born Again is really just a title. For those of you that are comic fans, Marvel loves to reuse old titles again and again and again, which is why you've probably, if you don't read comics and you've looked up Secret Wars, you've probably seen that there are a couple different iterations of Secret Wars over the past couple of decades. You know, but yeah, I do think that, there are a couple things in the works of Marvel that are about to change everything. And I think that this is going to be the biggest one because they haven't had anything really be of big street level before. And they are really putting everything into it. I mean, just the fact that they're bringing back Vincent D'Onofrio and John Bernthal as the Punisher, along with Charlie Cox. I mean, what more could you really ask for? And Chip Zdarsky, when I tell you he is the king, he is the absolute guy they should be pulling from for Disney Plus street level. And by the way, I know there are, some concerns in terms of Disney, doing Daredevil and the Punisher, and how is Disney going to water it down because they want young children to watch it. I don't think it's going to be as gritty as Netflix, but I also don't think you're going to watch it and not be happy with it. They know these characters are a little different than watching, Iron Man or Captain America, naturally darker. They're pulling from Chip Zdarsky, which says everything. So I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed there. For those of you out there that just want R-rated, if it's good and it's true to the tones of the comics, who cares what rating it gets? And it's obviously not going to get an R. It's a show, but you get my point.
Yeah, I compare the violence to being similar to, like, I think the closest violence that we could get that I would compare to is like the Batman. The Batman fight scenes were very violent. You could hear the hits. They were very clear that it was violent, but it wasn't rated R. I think you can do that level of violence, that level of gore, and still maintain what was with the old Daredevil, in my humble opinion.
Yeah,
I think that people are kind of overdrawing the whole. It has to be like the one on like they were even complaining with Daredevil's suit. They were saying like, oh, so now he can afford full suits. Yeah, he just represented Spider-Man, bro. Sorry, keep going.
True talk.
They just pissed me off. Sorry.
Yeah,
back. I'll be right back. But you can.
And his apartment in the Netflix show was insane. Do you know how much rent goes for in New York City? Come on. So, I said his apartment in the Netflix show was insane. So, he obviously, wasn't like entirely broke there, even though I guess his practice was struggling. But anyway, when it comes to R-rated, we know the MCU is a Disney thing. We know that putting out an R-rated project is automatically going to lose a huge amount of viewers, and it's just not something that is in their financial best interest. And I don't think they really have to do that. Like, I never understood the people. Yes, if they made an R-rated Daredevil, I would watch it. I would appreciate it. But I don't think it's a drawback that it's going to be on Disney Plus, and it's also going to be suitable for younger children. It's definitely going to be a bit darker compared to everything else in the MCU, and it probably will be the grittiest MCU entry.
Yeah,
but
they said that they were going to tackle like more mature themes. I mean, to be honest, in my humble opinion, I don't even understand why the show was rated R to begin with, because if Netflix came right out with the PG-13, then that would have been what everyone was expecting. I do, like, in my opinion, I do think rated R projects are kind of like extra, unless if it's something like John Wick or something like that.
Yeah.
Even like Deadpool, because I don't even think Deadpool should be rated R, in my opinion. I think that, like, you shut off a certain part of viewers, and as I said, the Batman literally shows us that you can tackle mature topics and still reach the masses. So I believe that's what Feige's going for in this.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't think it's a negative in any way that it's not going to be R rated, or whatever the R rated equivalent is for television / streaming shows.
I agree. Yeah, man. I'm actually really hyped for this project, bro, to be honest. Okay, so next I want to talk to you about Secret Invasion.
Oh man, Secret Invasion is one of my favorite Marvel
By the
stories.
way, dude, I feel like your video log is gonna be crazy because you need now that you talked about it and I wrote this down. You definitely after you read freaking Daredevil what
Devil's Reign.
Devil's Reign, you gotta do a video on that because that'll be fire. And you also should go through Secret Invasion. That'll be fire too, if since you love
Yeah,
it. So okay, so Secret Invasion. I'm gonna run through all of the news. And just before we switch off, I agree with everything Comic Cut says. I think Daredevil Born Again is going to be super fire. I don't really have much to say, but the one thing that I will say is that Kingpin becoming mayor is going to start a new era of villains, and so we're going to see a lot of villains come from under the cape of Kingpin, and I do believe like characters like Echo is going to make that turn to be on Team Kingpin. So I'm also excited to see how that's going to play out as well because I do think that I do. I wouldn't be shocked if the Echo show gets canceled because the rumors are, and we talked about this last week, that Marvel is worried about that show because it's not going to perform. And I really believe that they're going to chalk that Echo show and just put her story in Daredevil, which I think you should do. Just put and you and I talked about this. The way to go is if you want to add characters, put their arc in the main story and put their arc in the story of a main character and just call it a day. So
yeah, 100%. And
so
that's how Marvel's always been. And by the way, that's how they introduced Sam Wilson. And we've been talking about this a lot over the past couple of days. New World Order. Sam Wilson is going to be cemented as one of the biggest power players in the MCU. That movie is going to be an absolute banger.
Yep. It's going to be fire. And I think there are way more characters in it than we actually know. I think
100%.
I think Yelena's going to be in it. Wouldn't be shocked if Kate Bishop might show up in there. I think there's going to be a lot of characters in that freaking film. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's get to Secret Invasion. So obviously Secret Invasion is delayed from May to June. This is obviously due to Kevin Feige just taking a step back, which when you talked about before, we're happy. Obviously, the original strategy was quantity over quality, and we saw how that took. Victoria Alonso fired, thank God. Victoria, goodbye. And so, yeah, right. And so the part that's hilarious. So we found out that Samuel L. Jackson was spotted filming in Scotland for a top secret project. Okay. And so the funny thing is that, obviously Kevin Feige is trying to crack down on leaks. And the hilarious thing is that they were secretly out there. No one knew that they were in Scotland, but the local blog in Scotland was legit posting everything that they were doing. So it's actually hilarious. So I said in my video that I think that these reshoots were either Secret Invasion and the Marvels. I do because I do originally think that Secret Invasion was going to connect to the Marvels movie, but I really don't think that anymore after reading some of these plot leaks and kind of seeing that they're doing a lot of reshoots. Could the reshoots be that they are linking them together? I think they should, in my opinion. I think that'll be the best thing to do. And so here is the apparent rumored plot, okay? And you tell me how you feel about this. And I know you probably want to talk about the Marvels linking as well, so you can touch on that as well. So
100%.
apparently and this is going to get you like super like riled up. There is apparently a Skrull hideout somewhere in Russia, okay? And apparently what is happening is there is going to be this secret place where they are trying to rebuild Steve Rogers or Howard Stark's superhero serum machine because they are trying to create the Super Skrull.
So, first of all, I just want to say the Secret Invasion story is very easy to link to other characters and other entries in the MCU. So, and it's anyone's guess what they're going to do with that, because the story of Secret Invasion involves Skrulls who are shapeshifters who have been amongst us, and we don't know if I could be talking to Stevie right now and I have no idea that it's a Skrull that shapeshifted into Stevie. And in the story, they develop mechanisms to detect if it's a Skrull or not a Skrull, and then the Skrulls adapt, and then those mechanisms don't work, and they need to innovate the mechanism again, and that goes back and forth. Um, you know, it and I do think it is likely that the Marvels is tied into it because they're obviously betting big on the Marvels because of uh, obviously there was a huge positive reception with Brie Larson's Captain Marvel movie. Their, Kamala Khan show was amazing. I know not everyone watched that, but you should. And I do think that the fact that they're putting, her and Monica Rambeau into the Marvels, I think it's an easy tie-in. And obviously, Captain Marvel and Nick Fury's close relationships. The Russia thing, I think, is perfect for the story. It's obviously perfect timing with the Russia Ukraine war going on and everyone talking about Russia all the time and Russia being the enemy. So for Russia to have a Skrull base, I just think it is perfect timing for a story like that with everything going on in the world. So yeah, I'm really excited for that. And also, Secret Invasion also had a couple iterations. I think there's one, two, or maybe even three. Pretty sure it's just two. But great story. Something I also saw online about Nick Fury, which is interesting, is that he was actually off world during Spider-Man No Way Home when Doctor Strange casted that spell. So Nick Fury might be one of the only people of significance who knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so now we need to talk about the elephant in the room in this project, which is Amelia Clark's character, who is her name is Abigail Brand, who I believe that she's probably going to end up being like she's probably going to end up. I wouldn't be shocked if she's one of these super scrolls or she's going to be like a leader in the scroll, kind of like you know in the scroll way of things. I guess you can say. I do believe this. They are prepping Amelia Clark to become a lead character with the Skrulls. I wouldn't be shocked if this show is going to secrete her to be the leader of the Skrulls. She might even be the one running this whole operation with the whole entire Super Skrull drama. And I imagine this project being Abigail Brand versus Nick Fury.
Interesting.
And the Skrulls might turn on Nick Fury, which could be maybe some. And, all right, here's my theory. I just came up with this in my head just now. So this is going on YouTube tomorrow. So this is my theory. What if Abigail Brand and the Skrulls turn on Nick Fury? Nick Fury has the bangle or something similar to Miss Marvel's bangle. And what if Carol Danvers gave him that? Right? He tries to contact her through this device and it transports her to Earth because the Skrulls turn on Nick Fury, which could justify her and Kamala Khan switching places. So now Kamala Khan is wherever she is, where she was, and now she's on Earth.
Interesting.
If that was to maybe connect things.
Yeah.
Because Captain Marvel is because Captain Marvel
I think
is
it's anyone's
like
guess,
emergency.
Though. Yeah. True. I just listen, I love the Secret Invasion story. I definitely think they're going to touch on the Super Skrull. And also, what I also think is going to be interesting is, with the MCU sometimes having a pattern of wasting great villains, I do think that we're going to see villains that are going to, kind of go to the background, but then come back in the battle world phase. So I think that is, like a perfect kind of ending to this story because like it's anyone's guess. And
yeah, I do think that the Skrulls are going to take a back seat in Secret Wars for sure. Do you think so?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. The Skrulls are not the villain in Secret Wars. The villain is going to be You know, it should be Doctor Doom. It might be the Beyonder. You know, what's interesting is that in Infinity Gauntlet, which was really the story that inspired Infinity War, the movie, even though there also is the Infinity War comic that was the sequel to Infinity Gauntlet. Infinity Gauntlet is the one. And if I remember correctly, Adam Warlock was the one who won the day. It wasn't Iron Man. Adam Warlock wasn't even in the MCU for Infinity War. So I do think that the premise of these stories can be taken and they're going to change things around and keep guys like myself and Stevie even guessing. But I don't think I don't think you do Secret Wars without the Reed Richards Doctor Doom rivalry. Like that is probably the most famous rivalry in all of Marvel comics. Even though in the movies it's obvious, maybe Spider-Man and Green Goblin, I don't know, but I think in comics, like the most famous one is Reed Richards, Doctor Doom, and I don't think you do that story without that.
It looks like it feels like they're taking the Captain Marvel approach with that. And when I say the Captain Marvel approach, I think the Captain Marvel approach is like we're gonna do the one movie where we get the intro into the character, then we're gonna throw them right into the Avengers, and that's kind of how I feel like they're going to do with that, bro. It seems like they're going to throw like we're going to get that Fantastic Four movie, and then they're going to thrust them right into the Avengers. And I wouldn't be shocked if they sit out in Kang Dynasty, but they come in Secret Wars, and they're like the biggest roles in it. Because I could even see Doctor Doom maybe striking a deal with the Beyonder, and they both end up taking over. And what does Doctor Doom always do? He always comes behind your back, he helps you, and then he steals it from you. That's Doctor Doom's character. I even wouldn't be shocked if we get what's up.
So I was just gonna in the comics, it was an Avengers and New Avengers ran simultaneously, intended to be read together, both by Jonathan Hickman. And you know who wasn't in? Reed Richards was in those stories, but the Fantastic Four really wasn't. They weren't a big part of that story, but Reed Richards was. He created the antimatter injection device, which is an integral part to Secret Wars, or leading to Secret Wars. But I do think that you could do that story. I don't know who would replace Reed Richards, but I'm sure the MCU could find someone
They'll probably
to create
put Tony Stark, which would suck. We need Reed, bro. If we don't get Reed, I'm actually gonna be very pissed off. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Sorry, I keep doing that, but
go ahead.
I was gonna say I am dying for the Fantastic Four. I think the MCU needs strong characters. I love what they're doing with Sam Wilson because I think the MCU right now, and I always say this, but they're desperate for strong characters. I love how they're taking an existing strong character like Sam Wilson and just making him a lot more prominent. And that Captain America title is not to be taken lightly. Keyword Captain. But I also think, if you could introduce the Fantastic Four, I think they should have done it already. I think if they can move that movie up, they need to do it because, Reed Richards, Johnny Storm, Dan Grimm, Susan Storm, they're all amazing characters. They have such good synergy together. I just think they're desperate for a movie like that, characters like that, for every reason.
2025, we need to see it. Like, I mean, there's no other way around it. And I mean, there's so many other plot points that you could go like, I even like, because like in the comics, Doctor Strange helped Doctor Doom fight Mephisto for his mom. So I mean, I even think that I wouldn't mind getting Doctor Doom in Doctor Strange 3 as well, because Doctor Doom is also a sorcerer. So I think Doctor Doom is, in my opinion, I mean, Doctor Doom is my favorite villain of all time. So I'm a little biased, but I do believe that Doctor Doom is going to be the most prominent villain in Marvel for the next 30 years. Or in the MCU.
He has
and
to be.
You can recast if you want. But I pray to God that if Adam Driver gets that role, that's like Tony Stark Iron Man type stuff right there. I mean, that's like Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man type of casting. If they land Adam Driver, it's a wrap, bro. it's a
Yeah.
wrap. Like,
And I know everyone likes to say with, big roster characters, they don't want to take someone as well known as Adam Driver. Here's why I think it's different with Doctor Doom. Because it's fucking Doctor Doom, and he is the most powerful villain in all of Marvel, bar
yes.
none. Like, and by the way, in Secret Wars, speaking of Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom, in Secret Wars, Doctor Strange actually becomes Doctor Doom's right hand. Spoiler warning for those of you who don't want to know about the Secret Wars comic because you don't want to ruin the movie experience. But what happens is that, Doctor Doom takes, different parts of worlds from an incursion and combines it into one planet. And that's what's called Battle World. And he convinces everyone of a reality that is fake. He takes over, Reed Richards' family, convinces the children that he's their father, convinces Sue Storm that, he is the kid's father and they're in a, married, loving relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Doctor Strange also gets fooled and ends up becoming Reed Richards' right hand man. And it's similar to the way it kind of is in Russia, like the whole world sees Putin as an absolute enemy and a villain. But in Russia, the people there love him, and then they believe that he provides for them and he's a good leader for them. That's kind of how it is in Battle World with Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom convinces all of Battle World that he's an amazing leader and has done so much for the people. And then eventually, when Reed Richards finally finds his way to Battle World, he's just like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? This is absolutely insane,
Yeah.
And he's furious that Doctor Doom stole his fucking family. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And that's why you can't do Secret Wars without Doctor Doom, without Reed Richards. And to Stevie's point, it's kind of crazy to think that if they are going to do that with Secret Wars, and Secret Wars is supposed to come out, 2026, and Fantastic Four is going to come out in 2025.
Yeah, I could easily see Beyonder King doing that, like doing what Doctor Doom's supposed to do. It will work for the story because they're going to build him up so much in King Dynasty.
Right.
But wouldn't it be such a plot twist if Doctor Doom does steal the Beyonder's power and do that? I think that would be a even doper story because then Beyonder Kang is going to have to work with the Avengers,
Right.
really the whole Marvel freaking universe to stop this. So it's like this is legit the dream that everyone wanted, like where the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and the Avengers for all the universes, the Sony universe to connect. This is legit about to happen. We might get a Spider-Verse film in the Battle World, bro. Like you never know what can pop. This could be like a monumental thing for superhero films, and I don't think the fans, bro, understand the weight of how crazy this idea actually is. Because if it executes well, bro, this might be like $9 to $10 billion movies back to back to back to back to back.
No. They reset everything in the comics with Secret Wars. Like Marvel Comics, I'm pretty sure all of Marvel Comics literally stopped. And every comic came with something at the top on the cover that said, in 3 months, Secret Wars is coming, in 2 months. And, like the whole Avengers story, it's also started, with, Reed Richards saying, everything lives, everything dies. And it was just insane,
Exactly.
And then, when Secret Wars happened, they also had all these one-off Battle World stories. So I hope they do, like MCU movies that are Battle World related that don't necessarily have to do.
Give us Wolverine versus Hulk, bro. Like I would love a movie like that. Give us everything.
Insane. But I will say, like I know everyone wants the X-Men. I love the X-Men too, but I don't think that if the story is going to be done right going into Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, that story does not need the X-Men. And it will only make that next phase that much better because after Secret Wars, the X-Men are fucking coming.
Yeah, and that's honestly the best way to save them, bro, because I think the Fantastic Four is going to satisfy the fans and quench that thirst. Because after Secret Wars, I mean, we don't know who's going to be gone, who's going to be there. So I think the perfect way to rejuvenate the universe is to bring in the X-Men and literally center the universe around the X-Men. That is probably the best option.
There's
But
just
the
too
good,
many of them, like that are
exactly,
so significant.
yeah.
Once the X-Men are brought in, it's gonna be
It's
all
all
about the
about them.
X-Men.
Exactly, because they're like the biggest franchise in Marvel, other than Spider-Man. So yeah, it's really going to be about the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man. Like no one's going to care about anything else at that point. But I am excited to see that as well, and I think that, oh my God, we were talking about, wait, how we talk about Secret Wars? Wait, we were just talking about Secret Invasion, and now we're on
Yeah,
Secret Wars.
I know.
It's hilarious.
I think I was responsible for that.
It's all
tangent.
good.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
By the way,
But
Secret Invasion, there was a new series that came out. It just came out. It just finished like this month or last month, and it's only 5 issues. It's called Secret Invasion. It's by Ryan North. It's worth reading. It's amazing, and this guy is a huge up and comer. He's also writing the current Fantastic Four, which is new and supposed to be amazing. But you know, I listen. I just think there's so much to do with Secret Invasion, and one of my problems with Captain Marvel, and I love Captain Marvel. I'm probably,
yeah, you do.
One of the few. I don't want to say a lot of people loved it, but a lot of people also hate it. I loved it.
But you adore it.
Yeah, no, I really do. Like, I love that movie. I love Brie Larson as Carol Danvers. But I will say my big issue with it was they didn't do enough with the Skrulls. I don't like that the Kree Skrull War was kind of a side story. I think they should have made that more prominent. But I don't.
And that the Kree cooked them so easily. I wasn't a big fan of that either, because in the comics, the Skrulls are looked at as like godly beings to an extent. Like you know what I mean? They're not just that easy to just wipe out. You know what I mean? I wasn't a big fan of that.
They're very smart. They're very organized, and they're strong, and they have these abilities that are very unique. But, it sucked that and Marvel does that. Captain Marvel's not the only movie where that happened. But, I think that if you're watching this and you're a fan of the MCU and you don't read comics, just know that the Skrulls are involved in a lot of really good stories. They are a very interesting race that make for really good stories, and you're in for a real treat with Secret Invasion. I think Secret Invasion is going to be an absolute haymaker. It's, the second I heard they were doing Secret Invasion, I was psyched, and I think you should be psyched for it too.
I agree. And the one thing that they said that has stuck with me, they said it's going to be a Winter Soldier vibe, and that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah,
that's all I needed to hear.
Which, by the way, I also think that the MCU could do more of that Winter Soldier, like tactical military style espionage. They should have done that more with Black Widow. They should have done a Black Widow trilogy, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. We got what we got, and it's still great.
Yeah. New World Order. I mean, look, we're getting New World Order, the Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts might be the best. I think the Thunderbolts might be a top 5 MCU film. I don't know, man.
Bold statement.
It is, bro. If we get Sentry in this movie, bro,
that would be crazy. Who's that?
Imagine. That's a good question. Search that up. I don't know.
I'm looking right now.
I wish the freaking Russos were. Oh my gosh, they would have killed it.
Seriously, Julius Ona, and
what did he direct?
Cloverfield, the 2018 one.
Paradox.
Cloverfield Paradox. I never saw it, but I heard about it. Yeah, I don't know, but
I mean, Feige is back on watch mode, so I'm not really like I don't really care. I don't really give a crap about the director. Honestly, I've never cared about the directors until phase 4. In my opinion, like I never really thought about it. But I will say this, bro, just imagine we get Sentry versus the Thunderbolts, bro. That's going to be nuts, bro.
I also think, And for those of you that don't know Sentry, he's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think the Thunderbolt's going to be really good because it's like about a team, and there are some characters in there that not everyone knows, and it just gives me Guardians of the Galaxy vibes.
Yeah. I do think that Sam's going to be in it, and I do think he's going to have a team going against them. And I do think the battle that we're going to see is Nick Fury versus Thunderbolt Ross. And I think we're going
That
to
would be
get
cool.
something similar to a Team Shield, I guess, or something like that versus the Thunderbolts. And I
Uh-huh.
think that Yelena's going to turn to be with Nick Fury because of his relationship with her sister.
Right.
And I wouldn't be shocked if we got like a movie with like Hawkeye, Kate, if Jeremy Renner can, recover as well. I know he's walking again, so that's a good thing.
Well,
But
I think they said he might be done with acting forever.
frick, dude. Oh God.
Yeah.
They might have to recast it, man. Because Hawkeye, we need
I
Hawkeye.
don't know if they would recast him.
I would.
I hope they do. Listen,
They
I'm a fan of recasting. I
yeah,
like if not if you don't have to, but if you
yeah.
have to do it, like I don't think you retire the character Hawkeye because
Yep.
Jeremy Renner retires.
They could definitely recast a more fit character. Like Channing Tatum will be a fire Hawkeye. I'm just kidding. I don't but nah, you can find somebody that could play Hawkeye. But I really do think that like having a team though that can go against the Thunderbolts and or even the Thunderbolts versus Sentry is going to be a crazy story. If Steven Yen is freaking Sentry, bro, I'm going to riot though. I don't want him to be Sentry.
I don't
I
even know
do
who
not.
that is.
Uh,
Looking him up.
Asian
Oh,
guy. He
yeah.
voices
No.
Invincible. The rumors that he's
No.
Sentry, but I don't believe that one. I think he's going to be another character. Honestly, bro, I
Yeah.
don't see it.
Great actor, but not Century.
Heck no. I would love to see somebody like a Ryan Gosling. I even think Brad Pitt will be fire as Sentry.
I actually think Brad Pitt would be perfect as
He
Century.
has the hair and everything. I mean, he looks just
Yeah.
like Sentry.
Yeah, he has the personality for it. And I know, oh, well, actors act like, yeah, but if they already have the personality for it and they don't have to act as much, it's going to be more natural. So, yeah.
I will take the Rock as Sentry before freaking Steven Yen. That's how bad I
Yo,
don't want him to be
listen, The
Sentry.
Rock, I think The Rock needs to stay as far away from the MCU as possible.
Bro, you gotta understand, Warner Bros. And Disney is two different companies, but Disney would even Kevin Feige wouldn't even let The Rock have an opinion, bro.
No.
Kevin Feige is a whole different animal. He don't play that crap, bro.
Yeah, he doesn't. And also, there's a big difference when you compare the decisions that WB DC makes and Marvel makes. WB has been desperate for DC to be successful. Marvel is the biggest, most successful movie franchise of all time. They're not in between a rock and a hard place. DC, they get someone like The Rock who's willing to be, a title character. It's of course they're going to do it.
Yeah. Out of all the companies, the MCU can afford some L's, and that's all I'm gonna say right there. Um, so
Yeah.
okay, now let's yeah. So I mean, if you want to know our opinions, we think Secret Invasion is going to be fire. Can't wait to do that in June. Just to let you guys know when these MCU shows are coming out, we will be doing a weekly review. Okay, so we will be going through these weekly because these are MCU shows, and all of our focus will be on these shows. So don't expect a bunch of other content because we're gonna be going. Me and Comic Cuts are gonna be balls deep in this. We're gonna be writing out tons of theories, we're gonna be locked on that. Okay, so let's talk about this Secret Wars stuff. Okay, I know we touched on it, but I want to just get this to you. Then we could talk some Iron Man. Then we could talk some quick DC stuff, and then we'll talk some Iron Man too. So, Secret Wars is apparently going to be split into a 2-part movie. The first one's going to be Secret Wars. The part 2 is rumored to be Avengers Eternity Wars. And this has come up because Kevin Feige and Marvel bought a bunch of names and a bunch of trademarks. And one of the trademarks was Avengers Eternity Wars. Now, we all know that Avengers Eternity Wars is basically its own line. And a lot of fans thought that it was going to be coming further down the line. But now that I think about it, what if like you know we get Secret Wars, then Battle World, and then that next Avengers movie after Battle World. I'm sorry. What if we get Secret Wars that part one, and then we get the Eternity Wars as the part two. And so this is kind of the way that I kind of thought it out. Right. Let me pull up all my notes. I gotta find it right now. Okay. So the theory that's been going around is that Kang Dynasty is going to break the multiverse. Secret Wars is where Beyonder Kang will take the powers and become OP, and Eternity Wars is when we get introduced to the battle world. So we
You
might
know,
get through like literally three L's. Like the three Avengers films might be three losses.
for the Avengers, not for us, the fans.
Oh yeah, for the Avengers. For us, it's a W. But yeah,
By the way, it's 100% the move to break this thing out into as many movies as possible because there's just too much of a story to tell in one, two, or even two movies.
yeah, it'll be like a
Uh,
6 hour movie.
yeah, they did the same kind of thing with the last Harry Potter and other movies that have done this before. It's not the first time this is being done, but they did this with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. There was
Lord of
part
the
one and
Rings,
part
The
two.
Hobbit, yeah.
Yeah. So listen, I think this is the move. Eternity Wars is something that happens in the comics, but it wasn't its own comic. So if you were looking for, a single Eternity War comic, you're not going to find it. But and it also involves the Celestials, which, brings me to something I have also been thinking about is how are they going to rope the Eternals into this? And, the Eternity War might be a big part of that,
Yeah,
but I do
that
think
makes
that,
sense. They might be the
yeah,
ones to step in to fix the problem.
yeah. Listen, I think that you don't introduce a big team as powerful as the Eternals for no reason, and they have to have a significant role in all of this.
Yeah.
What that is, the Eternity War is definitely a part of it.
Damn,
But
man.
there
This
has to be
this is gonna
something
be
in
some
between.
deep, bro. This is gonna be this movie is gonna be some Marvel deep cuts, man. This is gonna be
Yeah,
deep, bro. Cause like who's going to reach out to these Celestials? I mean, my guess would be maybe Captain Marvel, but because we know that at the end of Eternals, Arishem took them. So I
right.
wonder where they are. So very interesting. Hopefully Harry Styles isn't in this film as well. I would hate
Oh
to
my
see
god,
that.
I can't
Don't
believe
even-
they casted him.
yeah, like out of all the actors. But anyways,
Yeah.
okay. So let's get into Iron Man 2, okay? Because we know Secret Wars is going to be fire. Like, we talk about this every week. Okay, now let's get to Iron Man 2. So, guys, as you know, as usual, this is where we split the episode. So, this is now we're talking about some Iron Man 2 stuff. Okay, so Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is one of my favorite MCU films.
Me too.
I think this is probably the other like obviously Winter Soldier is the perfect sequel. I think this is also the perfect sequel. And leading up to this, I mean everybody knew this movie was going to be a W. This is coming after excuse
Iron
me.
Man 1.
Yes, sorry, said a burp. This is coming after Iron Man 1, right? Everybody knows that Robert Downey's going to be crazy. He's going crazy. And I mean, one of the main reasons why I knew this movie was going to be a W is because they were taking inspiration from one of Iron Man's greatest comic books ever, one of the deepest comic books ever, Demon in the Bottle. And so we obviously this movie took on a minor mature tone, but managed to keep it for the kids at the same time, which was honestly perfect. We also got introduced to characters like War Machine and we got
Black Widow.
Black Widow, and we got to see Don Cheadle as the new Rhodey, which I think Terrence Howard would have been better, but obviously Terrence Howard talked himself out of that freaking idiot. He missed out on millions of dollars. What
Yeah.
a idiot! What
Yeah.
that might have been the biggest fumble of the decade for him. He's so dumb. Anyways,
Sort of.
yes, what an idiot. So, but I do like Don too. Don Cheadle's good.
Yep.
And then we also got to see something very interesting, which is two things. First, the love story between obviously Pepper and Tony is finally like getting real. But secondly, we see the villain. And this villain was such a different route to go. because I mean, a lot of people were expecting the Mandarin to actually come off of Iron Man 1 and do that, but we ended up getting a whole different villain. So first off, bro, tell me what you thought about Iron Man 2.
First, I just want to shout out Mickey Rourke as Whiplash, the villain, was absolutely incredible.
A W.
But I love Iron Man 2. First of all, I think watching it, like, it really feels like a true Iron Man comic. From, Tony having to innovate for his heart, researching on Whiplash with, him and his, rival, Hammer and Hammer Industries and Justin Hammer. It just had all of the elements of an Iron Man comic in terms of innovation, military industrial complex, corporate rivalry. I loved the story. I loved the scene when he told Pepper that he was going to make her the CEO. That was just, I mean, Robert Downey Jr., it felt like he was just dancing in that role. He absolutely crushed it. The action was amazing. I actually think that final battle scene when he fought all of the droids that Whiplash built via Hammer Tech, that is one of my favorite final battles in all of Marvel. And I love that he was partnered up with War Machine during that. But I have to shout out the opening scene, with the Senate hearing, and when they brought Justin Hammer in and Rhodey as the witness, and Tony Stark was like, you want my suits, you can't have it, but I did privatize world peace. That was absolutely amazing. And like I always say, Marvel does not mess up. They absolutely crush it when they have the government involved and when they have some kind of space or cosmic entity involved. And that's always been
Iron Man
true.
2 has one of the best third act battles ever. Like Whiplash and War Machine taking on Iron Man
in that dome.
Yeah. In the dome where all the robots come, and then Tony tells him to get low, and then he does the. Oh my gosh, that final scene was nuts, bro.
Yeah.
But one thing that also points out to me though is that we also got to see like a downfall of Tony Stark, but the downfall of Tony Stark gives us a deeper look at Nick Fury, and obviously, like at this point, Nick Fury is kind of popping up everywhere, but we actually get to see him actually have personality and help Tony. And Tony kind of gets to do something that is very interesting in the film. He gets to make amends with his father digitally. And it kind of goes on to where now, and then we see in Civil War later on that he's literally reliving the same situation over and over and over, telling his parents what he thought he could have said, which is some deep issue. I mean, that is deep, bro. But anyways, like that actually hits home for me. Like when I rewatch that scene, it gets me mad emotional. But we see his dad leave him this gift, which is the very thing that's going to save him, which obviously Anthony Stark or Howard Stark didn't know. But we end up seeing Tony Stark go from the circular heart to the comic book one, like the original triangle, or the diamond, I guess you can say. So, I mean, the movie itself, like Iron Man 2 does something where it forwards the story. It gives us the comic book goodness that we love and enjoy about Iron Man. It also gives us the drama. It gives us the love interest. By the way, Gwyneth Paltrow was my crush around that time. It gives us the love story, and then it gives us a villain that, as I said before, is very interesting. And I honestly, Mickey Rourke is just a regular traditional villain. There's really nothing too crazy about him. His father died. Howard Stark stole his designs. Good old fashioned revenge story. I don't see anything wrong with that.
but the character to him, this is not my bird. And what was the other one? Don't get too attached. Learn to let
Exactly.
go. I'm not going to do the
Exactly.
accent again because I'm terrible at
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
accents.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. And so like
Yeah.
and I think that is what they got wrong with Iron Man 3. And see, the thing with Iron Man is that Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark pops so much as a character that either the villain has to be literally OP like Thanos, or has to be Tony Stark going up against someone who can keep up with him. So, prime example, right? Civil War works so well because Tony Stark's going up against Steve. Infinity War works so well because Benedict Cumberbatch can keep up with Robert Downey's acting. The only and so I felt like they muted Mickey Rourke's character or Whiplash perfectly to where he was still menacing, but it wasn't like he has this crazy philosophy to him. Because if he did,
But
he would have Iron Man would have eaten him up in the film.
right, but the menacing, the menace to him was crazy when Hammer like realized at that expo what Whiplash had done, because Hammer the whole time was like, I want you to put me in the Pentagon for the next 15 years. And Mickey Rourke said, okay, no problem. And, totally convinces Justin Hammer that that's what he's going to do. And then he has the droid Iron Man suits at the expo on display. And then all of a sudden, Iron Man shows up, and the droids are all going after Iron Man. And at that point, it was too late, and Hammer
He
knew he
legit
was
doesn't
absolutely
care.
fucked. Yeah,
Exactly, that's another thing about Whiplash is that everyone loves a character that just doesn't care. Like, and I think that's why people love John Wick too. I think John Wick works because the dude just doesn't care. He just wants to kill people.
right.
I get the same vibe with Whiplash. And now looking further at it from a different perspective, would have been dope if we got the Mandarin from Shang-Chi going up against Tony Stark. Man, oh, would have been
Oh
fire.
man, that would
Would have
have
been
been
fire.
so sick.
Then I mean that would have been sick, dude.
Yeah.
Obviously they came up with the idea later on. Anyways, off topic. But yeah, so I mean, I think that Iron Man 2 is a great film. A lot of people didn't like it when it first came out, but shockingly, Iron Man 2 has aged very well.
Yeah. You know
And
what I
the
think? I think it was that like Iron Man was an origin story, and at the time, origin stories were everything. And I think the reason origin stories are so key, and it's similar to what I said about Batman Begins having to be realistic for the time to win over the comic book movie fans. Well, with origin stories, it makes people understand the character, so it pulls them in. And Iron Man 2 was not an origin story at all. And I just think Iron Man was such a banger of an origin story that Iron Man 2 was such a departure from the first one that fans didn't expect that. And I always think, if expectations are not met or differentiated, people are going to be disappointed. So I think fans were disappointed. And I think with time, they've rewatched it. Everyone's rewatched it. We've rewatched it, and more fans have grown to love it. So I think that's the reasoning. Let us know in the comments if you disagree. If you don't like the movie, why didn't you like the movie? If it did grow on you, why did it grow on you?
exactly. But as for me and Comic Cuz, we really do believe that this movie has aged like fine wine. I mean, I rewatch
Oh
it and
yeah,
it still holds up for me.
yeah.
As for most of the phase one, I mean, the only movie to me that doesn't hold well is Thor. I do think Thor 1 was badly shot. As much as a great movie, like I think Thor 1 is a great movie, but the shots, oh my god, the shots were just terrible. Um, but I do think that
I
most
love
of the
Thor
MCU,
one.
I do too. But when you freaking watch it on a freaking 4K, it's hard to like. I was over watching Revenge of the Sith on 4K, and I was like, dude, this thing holds, man, holds hard.
I've
But
been
anyways,
meaning to
sorry.
rewatch Star Wars.
Sorry, I'm freaking
Anyway, off
off
topic.
topic.
Yeah,
Oh, see, guys, we have ADHD,
yeah.
so we get just sidetracked so much. But anyways, yeah. So, and I mean, let's not mention. I mean, not. I mean, let's also talk about the fact that that the ending also hints us to the Avengers and basically tells us that Tony Stark isn't qualified to be an Avenger, which is freaking hilarious because why would he be qualified? Like,
he ended up becoming the fucking star of the whole thing.
exactly. Basically the leader. He's the one that saved the freaking universe, but yeah. And I am Iron Man. But yeah, so I mean, I believe that there's a lot to take away from this film, like just from a deep standpoint, but also from the standpoint of like this is a good old fashioned action film, a menacing villain, people come to help, and the story's over. I mean, there's nothing too crazy about that, you know?
Yeah.
So guys, that's really all we have for you guys. I mean, we think Iron Man 2 is a W. There's not really much to talk about there. What is the next movie in chronological order after
I
Iron
was
Man
actually
2?
just thinking that. I think it's Thor.
Is it the first Avenger or Thor? I love the
Thor.
first. Okay, so
Me too.
next week we're gonna be talking about Thor. I might even add in the Culture Nerds clip in the video when we talk about it because
Okay.
he has a lot to say about Thor.
By the way, there is we should also include the one shots, not give them their own episodes, but there's a one shot called The Consultant. It's on Disney Plus. It's probably only a couple minutes, worth watching.
I'm going to give that a watch. So yeah, we can let's throw all of them because I want to watch the Peggy Carter show too. The only one I'm not watching is freaking Agents of Shield. I've been down that road before. I'm not doing it again.
So I tried to watch it when it first came out, and I didn't get into it because it was procedural. I hate procedural like SVU. Each episode is its own story. There's no continuity. But I have seen people saying online that they're happy that Agent of Shield is now on Disney Plus because people are growing to love the show, and I've had some interest as to why people are learning to love the show.
Well, the girl that plays Alex is apparently going to be in the MCU again. So
okay,
one of the main, like basically the main character of the show is going to be in it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So. All right, so guys, we thank you so much for hopping on. We hope you guys enjoyed this time. Obviously, you guys go and watch this later, but remember, guys, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell.
Please.
So, guys, remember, and also, we are making an action film channel. That's gonna be the last channel that we're doing, and it's gonna be called Action Cuts. And we're literally gonna stop there. And those will be our three: superhero, fantasy, and action. Obviously, the fantasy and action we won't be uploading every week like we do here because we love superheroes and that's what we talk about.
Yeah.
But we are going to be working on we are going to do a John Wick review. We're going to pre-record that and get that out for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, show some love, and peace out.